Praise be Jesus Christ. I recently picked up this awesome book by Peter Seawald on the life of Pope Benedict XVI, and this book really goes into very minute details of Pope Benedict's life as a child. And many people remember, at least to some extent, that like Pope Benedict growing up, he grew up in Nazi Germany. He was around when the Nazis took over his country, and his family hated the Nazis. They worked as best they could against the Nazis, but young men were forced to join the Hitler Youth against their will many times. And Joseph Ratzinger, the future pope, was among those who was forced to join the Hitler Youth against his will. And he hated it. He resented it so much. And he went through the war. He experienced and suffered a lot. He, experienced what combat brings, the horrors of that. And towards the end of the war, he was so fed up. He couldn't take it anymore. And he really wanted to get out and just escape. And it wound up being around that time, he wound up injuring his thumb really, really badly. And he had to actually go to a surgeon in the Nazi army. And the surgeon was a terrible surgeon. He actually ruined Joseph Ratzinger's thumb. He really, really damaged it severely. So much so that he actually had to walk around in a sling because of his thumb. So he's walking around in a sling. He wants to get out of the Nazi army there. And he makes the decision one day. He said, "I'm leaving. I decided to leave." And this was a decision that could have had him hung, because they would hang deserters if they tried to escape, if they tried to go absent without leave. So he makes the decision to just leave. And as he's leaving one day with his sling because of his thumb, the guards that were by the gate, the handful of guards that were by the gate, they see him walking out with a couple of other guys, but they see him with the sling on. And because of the sling, he thinks they didn't stop him and ask him any questions. Because of the sling, he didn't get in trouble. He didn't face the risk of being hung for deserting. That was how that sling, that kind of minute detail of something crummy that happened in his life, really came through in such a big way, even probably actually saved his life. It's pretty amazing though, and it's a great cause for reflection, because it's like all these times when we have these little things that inconvenience us, or even more like grievous sufferings that afflict us during life, all the crosses that come to us, we can look at them as curses. But I think that little interesting story of his thumb, Pope Benedict's thumb as a kid, how that saved his life because of the sling, because of the bad surgery and everything else. God uses everything for his good. There's nothing that escapes God's providence. There's nothing that is somehow outside of his control or outside of his hands. What he has his hands in. God has his hands in everything, and everything is in his hands. And I think that little story of Joseph Ratzinger's thumb there, that brings that home in such a powerful way. So if you're struggling with something, if there's something in your life you just can't stand, give it to the Lord. He's able to make good come out of everything. And all those crosses he allows us to experience, God's divine mercy sets a limit to how much evil and suffering there is. And through God's mercy, all those sufferings are brought about to work for the greater good. And God bless you.